So, Jay, we always teach not the same books every year, but a lot of times we do repeats and try out new ones. But the students are different, and that makes the books a little different. What happened this year? Did you have any? Do you have anything that surprised you, maybe with your senior classes in the books you taught this year that you don't usually get, or that you liked especially well?
Yeah, I think one is sort of a canonical classic and one is contemporary. So the canonical classic that I felt went well this year was Pride and Prejudice. And some of why it went well is how much I love it. And you and
Yeah,
I know, and anybody listening to this knows that if a teacher is just really excited, half of the battle is accomplished. Now you still have to teach. You can't just be
right,
excited.
right.
I would love it if being excited was enough to be a good teacher. But so I may have mentioned on this channel before, I teach Pride and Prejudice near the end of the year.
Okay.
So we've done our research paper and we've done plenty of analytical writing. So we do a deleted scene project where they imagine Austen had deleted a scene and they have to write it. But the trick is, as we read Pride and Prejudice, I think I've gotten better at doing, because I think I did this badly for a long time. What I've gotten better at doing is workshop along the reading of it. Okay, how is she writing dialogue? And we kind of map out how the dialogue moves when she's describing a building. How does the camera move of the narrator? So we come up with a class sort of rubric. The class creates the rubric. And I say, if you're writing any scene, what are things we can include? You know, so a
Okay.
letter, someone looking out a window,
Okay.
flashback. So the kids come up with some like Jane Austen tricks.
Yeah.
But I mean, they get really excited to like imagine there's this minor character that they invent the backstory for, or a conversation between two characters that isn't in the novel that totally could have been. So I just really delight in reading those. But the best analytical writing I get all year, and I think you and I have discussed this, is when I give creative writing, I always ask them to do a metacognitive reflection, page or two. What were you trying to do? Why'd you pick this sort of approach? What was really difficult and how did you manage it? So a lot of them end up really sort of humbly kneeling before the altar of Jane Austen saying, yeah, I'm not her. Like
Yeah.
this is really like a lot of kids said, like both on the sentence level and on the ideas level, she's
Yeah.
beyond me.
Yeah.
But I think like at
Huh.
18, these are sharp 18-year-olds. I'm grateful that that's where they are,
Yeah.
and then
And it's
getting a
amazing
little,
for them to find that out. We
yeah,
always want to tell them that and say, look, this
yeah,
person, Jane Austen's away, but that's totally different for them to just say, how did she do that?
yeah.
She's a magician.
Yeah, I mean, she's a wizard. So that was good. And then really quickly, my other book that I love, and I like teaching I like teaching a contemporary collection of poetry. I like teaching a contemporary novel and a contemporary play, because I spent a lot of the year on things like Beowulf, Hamlet, Paradise
Yeah.
Lost, Frankenstein, Pride and Prejudice.
Right, right.
Well, I teach this play. I think you'd be really interested in it.
Hmm.
And it's by a playwright named Jackie Drury. She won the Pulitzer for her play Fair View, which is quite good. This is a play with the title that's really long, but it's basically, we are proud to present a presentation about the Herero of Namibia, formerly known as Sudvest Africa, formerly known as Southwest Africa, from the years. And so it basically is a group of actors putting on a PowerPoint of the history of Namibia in the window of time where it was independent.
Okay.
So it sounds like the lamest premise.
Yeah, sure.
And it ends up being a conversation about sort of the politically charged conversations that we all have in academia about who gets represented, who doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's like a really funny, edgy, thoughtful play about that conversation, because some of the actors are white in the play and they're like speaking with accents. And so anyway, we came up with a menu of we read it over 3 days, and then one of the assignments was a podcast, and some of the kids that don't talk a lot in class just came alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it got them to think about how schools, both their high school and their future college, is thinking about issues of like representation and how that's even behind the scenes in offices they're not in, shaping their academic experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I recommend the play. Her Fair View is her best known work. She's a young playwright. But I think for a contemporary text, it's that one. And for a canonical text, it's Pride and Prejudice.
Right. And this year's take on them we're both good. They really landed for students. I mean, I take it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I have pedagogical ADD, so I can't do the same kind of book, the same kind of assignment over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I try to, like a good meal, mix up heavy and light. I'll do a deep analytical writing, and then we'll read something kind of quickly and maybe respond personally. Then there'll be a poem, and then there'll be an analytical. So I try to exercise all those different muscles. So these are both two of the creative pieces, but I think for a lot of the kids, they were really hard. You know,
Yeah, it was a real
one of
challenge.
my top analytical writers said, wow, trying to write like Jane Austen, think like her, see,
Yeah.
or Elizabeth Bennet, think like her,
Yeah.
see like her. That's really hard, you know.
That's great. So got them off of their what they've gotten good at, which is great, and get them to see their own writing, their own skill in a different way. I like
Totally.
that. I like your the analogy to a chef. I think that's a good analogy for a teacher. There's lots of restaurants. There's lots of chefs. The good ones are the ones that just coordinate the whole experience for you, the entire meal, top to bottom. You feel like they're in charge, and they have a
Yeah.
mixture of all the different things that chefs mix together. And I think
Yep.
it's a good way to see what we're doing throughout the semester, throughout the school year and teaching.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you that, and I like those. So good success with Pride and Prejudice
Uh,
in a fiction writing
it's a delight.
competition or
It's
sort
a
of
delight.
task, creative writing task, and then this play.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really great pairing and something students just wouldn't expect either, and
Sure.
will remember. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that.